Hi loves, it's Elle and welcome back to my channel and happy Skincare Sunday. I hope y'all are having a wonderful weekend. I wanted to chat with you guys today all about, sensitive skin, but really about barrier function and how important it is to keep that intact. So if you want to know more about that, hit the subscribe button, share this video with somebody you think might like it, and let's do it. So I get a question probably every day by a couple of people at least over email, and they always talk about that they have a skin type that is sensitive or that they really feel their skin is very irritated. And I really hear this a lot over and over again. And it just led me to the thought of barrier function and how important it is and why I actually have never really talked about it. I talk about it here and there, but I wanted to dedicate a whole video because if you are going through some of these things that I'm going to be talking about, you might want to try some of these tips to repair that barrier. So first of all, first things first, what is a barrier, or what is a barrier function and what does it do? So I have all my notes here on my phone and my notepad. So the skin barrier is located in the uppermost layer of the skin, and it's all basically referred to as the stratum corneum, and its function is to protect the body from environmental damage, pathogens. It's also there to protect water loss, which we also call, which you've heard me talk about before, transepidermal water loss, which is where moisture from the skin evaporates, and that really leads to a whole host of issues. The skin barrier is really important because of all of those reasons. That's our first defense when it comes to things that will impact our skin. So if our barrier function is impaired or has been damaged, it can lead to a whole host of problems. You can see, the problems that you can see a lot of times is dehydrated skin or dry skin. I would say more on the dehydrated skin, because what that's telling you is that transepidermal water loss is definitely happening for you. We can also see things like irritation on the skin. So you can say, my skin feels irritated. Obviously inflammation, redness, rosacea, eczema even, acne flare-ups for sure. They also, when your barrier is, impaired or not working properly, it can also make your skin very reactive in ways that it normally wouldn't be as reactive when that barrier is deteriorated. And so you could maybe be fine before your barrier, when your barrier was intact, fine with maybe regular, natural fragrance or certain ingredients, but now that your barrier function has been severely damaged, you now have all of these potential irritants that can be more irritating to your skin because you don't have that protective layer functioning at the level that it's supposed to. And when your barrier function is really bothersome, things like rosacea and acne and things like that can be contributed to a deteriorated barrier function. Okay, so I hope that's why you know this is really important, because sensitive skin is not a skin type, guys. Sensitive skin is a skin condition, and it definitely can be reversed with a lot of dedication, a lot of education into ingredients, a lot of trial and error, but sensitive skin is not a skin type. It is something that definitely needs to be worked on either by a professional, a skin expert, or a lot of trial and error by yourself. And a lot more goes into repairing the barrier function too, as far as like gut health and overall water intake, as well as how your diet is, how much sleep, okay? But we're really gonna be talking about topical products here that I want you to start thinking about if you are experiencing any of those symptoms that I talked about. Severe dryness, flaking, irritation, redness, really overreactive skin. This is what I want you to think about when you are going into your next steps on thinking of how to repair that barrier. This is also seen why a few months ago I decided to back up off those topical AHA, BHA serums. I was overusing them and I had destroyed my barrier function. The good news is that you can repair it. It does take a little bit of time and dedication, but I will give you some tools to help you repair that and some ingredients to look for. A couple other, so things that will lead to barrier damage is a lot of things. Over sun exposure is one of them. Really not taking care of your skin, not washing it properly, but you can also really cause a lot of damage by overwashing the skin, especially with the wrong cleanser. Things like steam rooms, really hot showers for an extended period of time, really hot water on the face. Also, whenever you wash your face or are in the shower and you get out of the shower or you are done washing your face, making sure you pat up off that water off that skin immediately, because you don't want to add to more transepidermal water loss, because once that water starts to evaporate off your skin, it's going to pull moisture from inside your skin with it, and it's going to make it even drier. So that's why I don't necessarily know if I agree with the philosophy of putting water on the skin and then coming up and then applying your serums right to watered skin. I think water should be toweled off and then on to the next. That's also why it's great when you use an essence to pat it in. That technique that I taught you with an essence is to really pat that in, get that into the skin as quickly as possible, or get that into the skin and then start applying your serums and lock in that hydration. So it's really about making sure that that evaporation does not happen to the best of your ability. Transepidermal water loss is a huge issue for barrier damage for sure. Other things that can break down your barrier is using the wrong cleanser, which we talked about. So your skin is actually more at an acidic pH, and you want a cleanser that is very gentle. That's why a ton of dermatologists recommend Cetaphil. I mean, it is a no-soak cleanser, and that's what you're looking for, because really the detergents in those cleansers are what's breaking down that barrier function, and it's so important to keep that intact. Really making sure there's no surfactants in your cleanser, making sure that it really is a no-soak cleanser. AHA and BHA cleansers every once in a while is okay, but that's, again, it's just constantly stripping down that barrier, and then when you do that, your skin is so susceptible to so many issues. For a lot of people with these skin concerns, they don't wear moisturizer. And I know I just did a video on does everybody have to use a moisturizer? And the answer is no, but it is imperative for people that have a damaged barrier function to wear serums that are hydrating, kind, gentle, full of skin-loving ingredients, and wear a moisturizer, because you want to protect that transepidermal water loss, okay? So not wearing a moisturizer if you are acneic. A lot of my clients, when they first come to me for acne treatments, they say, well, I don't wear an SPF. I mean, I don't wear a moisturizer. And I'm like, acneic skin needs to wear a moisturizer. Rosacea needs to wear a moisturizer. Dry skin needs to wear a moisturizer, which is what I actually talked about in my video. Just so to put that out there. If you have a fully intact barrier function, you're not going to need as much moisturizer as somebody that doesn't have a very intact barrier function. I hope you see what I'm trying to talk about here. So your whole point of skincare is to get your skin into homeostasis, which means it's just balanced, okay? When you think that you're sensitive or you're overreactive or you have acneic skin or you are overly oily, you want to try your best to kind of balance that out and get that skin doing what it's supposed to do, kind of in that normal combination range. A couple other things that add to barrier function, kind of dismantling, is age, to be honest with you. As we age, as we get older, we have a lot of loss of hydration, as well as we have a lot of loss of ceramides in the skin, which is a humectant and really helps hold in hydration. It's just ceramides are amazing for the skin and really should be in at least one of your products, which in most for you guys, it's in a lot of products. And for most of us, it's in our moisturizer or something to that effect. And then the last thing I'll talk about destroying your barrier function, which I've actually spoke to a couple dermatologists recently on this, and I asked them the biggest concern or the biggest problem they see that they hear from their clients is this kind of overreactive, my skin is now sensitive, it never was, and then they go deep into their routine and they're just over exfoliating. So this goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. I was over exfoliating, I was overdoing AHAs and BHAs. You really can do it you can really overdo it, especially physical scrubs. You can't use a physical scrub every single day. I mean, maybe once a month. You know, I'm not a big fan of physical scrubs. I think they really break down the skin. But if you're going to use it very, very minimally, you know, you can't use AHAs, BHAs, even enzymatic things every single day. I mean, okay. On average, for most people, it can be harmful to the skin. Can some people never have a problem? Of course, okay? But this is speaking on average for the people that are really noticing these side effects in their skin. If you are noticing these side effects, which is what I was noticing my skincare wasn't working as well as it should. I was noticing that I was sensitive, which I've not really sensitive skin. I'm not that kind of skin condition. My skin was dull. It was very irritated. It was very reactive. And I found that I was over exfoliating. I was using my pads too much, and then I was kind of doing my serums every other night, and it just got out of control. So really make sure you really are careful on how much you are exfoliating, no matter the form that it comes in. Over exfoliation is one of those things that is like this big hot thing right now. Everybody's coming out with toners and things like that are really aggressive. So just, you have been forewarned to just be very careful on that. So let's talk about how to fix this barrier function. My first suggestion is to back up off exfoliants, okay? So for me, I use my exuviance pads on Sunday, and then I will use a lactic acid, which obviously you know Josie is my favorite one right now, but pick your favorite. I like lactic acid. PHAs are fantastic. Those are very gentle. You know, salicylic and glycolic should be used absolutely. That's more for acneic skin. Glycolic is actually really amazing. So use those though, like once a week, if you're using like the pads from Exuviance or like Dr. Nurse Gross or something else of that nature. So see how you're only exfoliating like 2 times a week. Sometimes in the winter, I will do an exfoliating serum maybe 2 times a week, but it just depends. You've got to start listening to your skin, everyone. You've got to start learning what your skin is telling you and telling you that its needs at that time and at that day, okay? Now, also my second tip that I would give you is if you are experiencing these concerns and you want to focus on barrier function and repairing that, I would absolutely say to streamline your whole routine. Take out almost every single thing you use. Take out all exfoliants for at least 2 or 3 weeks. I would say longer. I would say a month. And back up off all of those. Only use things that are hydrating, like a hydrating essence, like the snail mucin from CosRx. Vitamin C is probably totally fine. Just make sure you're getting a good one that's buffered and it's not too aggressive. So like I wouldn't go for the drunk elephant one because it's a little aggressive. Go for one that's a little less aggressive. You know, backing up off of any AHAs or BHAs in your routine. Then make sure you're really working into your routine, hydrators, things like glycerin, also antioxidants like green tea. I have a whole video on sensitive skin. I give a lot of really great ingredients in that video as well, but also to things that have no fragrance in them. That's going to be really imperative too when you're trying to rebuild your barrier function. Making sure that you're really focusing on ceramides. Ceramides are super important in barrier repair. So making sure that you're getting a moisturizer that has ceramides in it. Obviously one of the best ones is the Cloud Cream from Fit Beauty or Fit Glow Beauty. I'll put everything in the description box. And Drunk Elephant's La La Cream. I'm sure you can find a lot less expensive ones, but ceramides are going to be imperative. Make sure you're using a moisturizer day in and day out. Give this at least 6 weeks to 8 weeks to see the difference in your skin and see what it really how it changes. And I did this for about 2 months and my skin has never looked better when I stopped fussing around with it. You can watch that video if you want to. There's also a serum that I have here in my skin studio, and it is the Osmosis Replenish. This is actually something that's brand new to me, and I've been trying this out. A whole Osmosis review is coming, guys, but I bought this. It's for my skin studio, and it's called Replenish, and this is one of the most amazing antioxidant rich, it's called Antioxidant Repair Serum, and it's called Replenish. It's fantastic. So many soothing, nourishing antioxidant ingredients in here. I call this my Hollywood Glow Serum because it just makes you glow. So my whole point here is streamlining that routine, all right? Making sure that you are not overusing products, maybe like one serum and then your moisturizer and SPF you're on for the day. I would pull back on retinols, honestly. I mean, this is the time to pull back. You can, using over-the-counter retinols as well as prescription strength Retin-A or any kind of form of that is going to deteriorate the barrier function. It's just what it does. It peels, right? Whenever you use Retin-A, the skin peels. It's exfoliation that is breaking down the barrier function. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying that that is going to break down your barrier function. So really pull back off that Retin-A and retinols. Just keep it easy breezy, really light, really nourishing. Do hydrating masks, things that you can just put on the skin and just really sit and let the skin breathe and be hydrated and nourished. Again, give it about 6 weeks and see how that works. My last tip will be to really make sure what you're cleansing with. Do your research, okay? Look for cleansers that have no soap in them. Okay, milky cleansers, gentle cleansers, but just look at the ingredients. Again, I will say that Cetaphil is the #1 dermatologist recommended face wash because it is so gentle. It's okay to still use an oil cleanser if you are doing a double cleanse at night, which you know I subscribe to. So oil cleanser and then Cetaphil or whatever milky cleanser or gentle cleanser, but just make sure it's non-soap and then go on with your routine. In the mornings, if you don't wash your face and you just splash a little bit of water, that's totally fine too. Splash a little bit of water, but just make sure that you pat that off and then move on with the rest of your routine. So if you are dealing with some of these, conditions or issues, try this out. See what happens. Don't be afraid to pull back on your routine, and then you start adding one thing back in at a time every couple of weeks and see what's really working. See what's causing that barrier function, because you'll notice right away. You'll notice, like I tried the pharmacy's Honey Glow or Honey Moon, what's the honey, their AHA, BHA serum, I forget what it's called. I loved it, but I tried it for the first time in like 3 months, 4 months, maybe it's longer than that. It was in my fridge whenever I did that video, but it doesn't matter. It's been a long time, it's been months, and I tried it a couple of days ago. My skin was on fire, okay? And then I knew immediately, I'm harming my barrier, okay? So I just want to speak from experience and give you a little bit of tools if you feel like you might be dealing with this skin concern, okay? And also pull back on any type of treatments you might be getting at a skin expert or dermatologist, microdermabrasion, lasers, things like that, because those will all damage the barrier. Now, to what extent, I don't know, because I don't know your personal situation. I don't know how quickly your skin will repair, but that's why we want to do those things at small intervals and kind of far apart. All right, so let me know if you have any other questions in the comment section below. I always thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Lots of love from me to you. Bye, loves.